Good afternoon, and we're going to be looking at politics and society. I hope you're all well at home and get ready to do and follow a few stories that are happening in the news. We're going to start off with what is happening in the news apart from coronavirus. We're going to be looking at two stories that we have been looking at for the last while. The first of these stories is what we call Super Tuesday Part 2. Okay, so we looked at Super Tuesday Part 1, this remarkable comeback from Joe Biden. When the press had written him off, they thought he was gone. They said, oh, Sanders is going to win everything, and Joe Biden made this remarkable recovery. Remember, winning 10 states. A week later on from that was the 3rd of March, the 10th of March, every newspaper is full of coronavirus. Okay, but there's a lot of things happening apart from that. So we need to follow this. And of course, there was some serious casualties from Super Tuesday 1. Elizabeth Warren, gone. Bloomberg, the man who spent $500 million in advertising, gone. So what we're left with was a 2-horse race, and that's what we're going to look at firstly. So we're going to use for our source for this the New York Times website, the New York Times newspaper, and I've got a list of questions here when the projector warms up, and you will see what we're going to look at, what sort of questions you're going to look at, and a little bit of what we call data capture, the second part of the politics and society exam. So, here's the website where we're going to look at in a minute. New York Times, interactive, great website, interactive website. You click on the state, they give you things. Using the above website, answer the following questions on the latest from the US elections. Quite straightforward questions. First of all, what states were being contested in Super Tuesday Part 2? They like this sort of thing, the Americans, don't they? Bringing up this big contest of Super Tuesday. And of course, Joe Biden, he looks odds on now to win. He looks odds on to win and take on Trump. Sanders struggling, as we'll see. Let me just move this up. What states did Joe Biden win? What states did Sanders win? This needs to be completed from the interactive map when we come back from school. We also need to look at numbers, and we're going to do that right now. Here we have it. Joseph Biden votes 2 million. Delegates 198. Sanders 126. So H81725. It seems quite close, doesn't it? Okay. It seems quite close, but is it? I mean, Sanders was ahead. Everybody seems to be moving towards Biden now. I think they're scared. I think they must be scared of Sanders. They might think he's too radical for the American people. We'll bring up the interactive map and we'll have a look at how the states voted. Now we knew to know the last day. Here are the states that were up. We know the last lesson that we were looking at, that the southern states, Mississippi, and this state here is called Missouri. Biden was doing very well in these southern states. And then we have Michigan, big state Michigan, lots and lots of delegates there. The big city in Michigan is Detroit. And then we have North Dakota, is this one here, North Dakota, Idaho, and Washington State, as opposed to Washington DC, two different places. So, how are we doing? Let's have a look. Washington State, Biden, 36.9%, Sanders, 34.9%, and Elizabeth Warren, now gone, 10.1%. Okay, the only hope really for Sanders now is if Elizabeth Warren begins to support him, and she starts getting those votes, those left-wing votes. Idaho, Biden 48.9%, Sanders 42, Elizabeth Warren 2.7. Okay, and that's Idaho. They're small states, really. Idaho is a small state. A good day for Bernie in North Dakota. North Dakota, capital, believe it or not, Bismarck, North Dakota. 53% for Sanders. 39 for Biden and Warren 2.5. So there's a real split among the American public. But now when we move to the South, you see these states here that we're looking at in the South. In the election, the general election in 2016, Trump won a whole load of these seats by tiny majorities. Very, very small majorities. So perhaps the thinking of the Democratic Party is that if they endorse Biden, that Biden might take these seats off Trump and as a result win the election off Trump. That might be the thinking. In other words, people mightn't be voting on the beliefs of Sanders and Biden. They might be voting strategically, because you don't maybe vote on who you support, you vote on who you think will win. Biden 81%, Sanders 14%, and Bloomberg still hanging on there with 2.5%. Okay, they're all gone now in the race. When I say gone, they have to officially withdraw. I think Biden again in Missouri, good 60%. Of course, 60%, 80%. He means he gets all the delegates for that state. The proportional representation rule does not kick in, all right, at that stage. And poor old Bloomberg. You'd feel sorry for him if it wasn't such a joke, really, wasn't it? $500 million in advertising, and he got nowhere. Okay. And the big one, Michigan. Biden wins a day again. Sanders has a big decision to make. Should he hang on? I don't know if it's going to swing back his direction. Let's look at the last graphic there. Primary results by state. And you can see that it's looking good for Joe Biden. So he's the winner of this, and he looks like he's on course to be. But this will continue. This will continue over the next few months, and we will see what happens. Of course, it's also going to be very, very interesting to see how Donald Trump copes with the coronavirus, and the reaction of Americans to that crisis. A lot of leaders are going to be. It's going to be interesting to see how they cope with that particular situation. So, 6 states. Next up, the most important things. We've done the big California state. New York State, that's that one there. That's a big, big, big prize. Okay. That's the next biggest state really that people are looking at. Texas is done, California is done, all these states are done. It's really looking like Biden. Some people saying that, some of the analysts saying that maybe there is time for Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders to pull out of the race. Let's see what they say. California, Bernie Sanders won. This is March the 12th. Okay, he's been declared the winner in California more than a week after the final report. Sanders is staying in the Democratic race. He says he has plans to attend the scheduled debate on Sunday against Biden. For now, Washington looks like a draw. Okay, so these are the major analysts. The Times is called North Dakota for Sanders. Winner offers at least one bright spot coming out of otherwise deflating night. Biden is now leading every county. Michigan exposed the flaws in Sanders' electability case, attacking the establishment lost in the suburbs. This is a class reference, of course. The establishment. Biden is setting himself up as some sort of socialist in America, attacking the establishment and all this sort of stuff. He couldn't win middle class votes. Rural white voters abandoned him for Biden, and so we can see that this is the situation in the United States. So that's a Super Tuesday 2 exercise. I'm going to put the questions again. I'm going to leave them there for a few seconds. Okay? They'll be on the feed that you get. I want those questions done when you come back to me. And of course, this is a ongoing exercise, just a short little exercise there to be added to your first Super Tuesday exercise, and we will continue to do that.